You're listening to the ABC Music Talk podcast, a show for those interested in the music industry. This is the second episode of a three-part miniseries. So if you haven't heard the first one, please do go back and listen to that first, which was taken from an interview I did recently with my friend and colleague, Delante Murphy. The whole interview runs for nearly an hour and a half, and I wanted my listeners to have as easy access to the whole thing as they possibly could, so I broke it up into 3 sections. So this second episode, we pick the conversation up just after Delante has told us how he ended up at Empire. But in this episode, we really start to get into what it takes to be a great A&R manager. So enjoy this continuation of a masterclass in storytelling from Delante.
And that's how I ended up at Empire, and that's how I'm here. So that's what led
amazing.
Me. There you go.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you sort of almost read my mind about my next question, which, because obviously I looked a little bit of your background on a few interviews, and one of the things was that obviously this internship at Def Jam, but kind of what you were just saying there about Ghazi's kind of experience and kind of but your experience and how the two were different. You'd had that kind of big company experience. How important is it, do you think? I mean, would you advise somebody just starting out to perhaps go and spend a little bit of time at a large organization, because obviously the world's changing a little bit, right? The indies are becoming more powerful and more influential, and do you still think people need to go and have that corporate experience?
I believe so, because being at Atlantic as a manager, inside and out, working with them, it's just so many layers it's just so many things that they have figured out as far as how to develop and bring something from ground to explosion, or as far as a pop artist. I don't think I don't believe at this point the learning curve of trying to figure it out on your own outside of a major is just too much. And I think that's part of the dope growing changes that we have going on in Empire, right? Like they never understood that they needed a A&R admin person. I kept saying, you need an admin person. Your A&R cannot be sitting here worrying about, all these other technical things where they need to be in the studio. And if you truly got a good A&R, a mix of the new and the old, I was like, it's like, how are they going to be? They have to, of course, you got to do some paperwork, but if I'm chasing down sample clearances, whatever. So once Tina came and the company grew, he realized I got to have A&R admin to watch my back as far as legal and certain things. So it's kind of cool because now I think Tina, of course, myself, and maybe Morris, we're able to whisper things and say, well, this is your next growth. Right? So you get this department, you need this department, you need that. So that's my point. Go and answer your question. Yes, I do believe you should at least do an internship inside, so you could kind of get a structure, a corporate model structure or familiarity in your head of these departments that they developed. And I always tell people, it's not that people are smart. People are smart. There are smart and smarter people, I guess. But I always try to approach things like, at some point, the mobsters in Chicago who started the record industry in America didn't know what an A&R was. They didn't understand what this was. They were just taking people out of the clubs during Prohibition and kind of pressing up records so that people could play them when a record player was really getting hot and vinyl. And they just wanted a way to exploit the artist that was working in the Prohibition clubs. And as it started making money, they had to come with these departments, right? What distribution? Like, how do we get this to there? Who do we get to stand next to the artist and make sure the records are right? Who's the radio guy? So I always say they figured it out for us. So it doesn't mean that the model doesn't change, because change is the only thing that's constant. It means that you should study that and understand what parts are kind of not interchangeable and say, okay, I could streamline their model. And I think that's what Empire is really good at. Let's streamline the bureaucracy in a major label and figure out how to make it more efficient for artists directly. And that's a cool thing, right? It's, I guess it's kind of similar to, I don't know about you guys' leader, but like our president saying, cutting all type of legal testing for coronavirus vaccine, right? Like, just try it, drink bleach and some other stuff. It may work, who knows? So, they're like, okay, well, let's just skip past all the FDA and all the government things set to make sure we don't die. But it's cool.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. But yeah,
Right.
but I do believe you should spend some time. An internship would be awesome if you got the opportunity to see, to kind of get a feel of it, and then go out and be great and start your own label and change the world.
Yeah, that's well, and that's kind of it was interesting to hear about how when you met Ghazi and that sort of a whole scenario of realizing that he wasn't gonna, just go and work for somebody else. There's a quote that you wrote, which I think is sort of feeds into this a little bit. You said where apparently you always try to keep the business about the music and the music alone. Is that you still stand by that quote? It was from an interview a few years ago, so I don't know if you remember it. But
Oh wow, yeah, absolutely.
just because just because it kind of feels like a lot of people I think start off that way, like they want it to be about the music, and then they kind of get buried into the business, and then they start to get a little lost in it. I mean, it happened to me. I remember distinctly, 28 years old, first vice president job, sitting there one Friday creating a management report, just kind of stopping and going, what the hell happened? Like, how did I end up here? This was never what I meant to do.
Right.
I'm a failed musician like most people, and so that was what it was about. Yeah, so I guess you've clearly managed to do it. I mean, you're sitting in your incredible home studio. I know that from the work that I do with you, you spend time in studios. It is about the music for you. It's about
Right.
working with artists.
Yeah, I believe it's about the music. That's one of the things, even at our company, that's a little bit different. I think that, as far as what I know, I think with anybody else, I think that it's cool to chase numbers, and in a time that you have to kind of be seeing what's blowing up. What I've noticed is that even if you're following numbers, getting into like whatever's popping on TikTok or streams or YouTube's or whatever these places that independents get to put up records, it's like that doesn't mean that everybody, including us failed musicians, me and you, Alex, that the odds of us having one hit record probably could still be pretty cool with the energy we put ourselves around. The question is, are we stars, and can we do it multiple times? So when you're searching through the internet, these guys, it's like, yeah, they got a hit record, they got a hit something, a momentum. But that doesn't mean that they're a star, and it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do this 10 times like a Prince or Michael Jackson or a Drake or Kanye West. Like, I just think it's a different thing. So yes, it is about the music. So numbers only show me that you got something and I got to dig deeper. But the magic happens with the development and sitting in this studio or any other studio and going back and forth and pushing that artist and that music to the best version of itself. And so for me, it's totally about the music. Sometimes myself, I get lost. Like, dating, and the women that I dated be like, oh, you feel so disconnected, or or people be like, what's wrong with you? You're here but you're not here. And it's like, in my head, I'm literally thinking about maybe a particular artist I'm working with. I may be playing this song back over in my head 50 million times, sitting there watching a movie in a movie theater, saying that change is wrong. And I'm trying to figure out what can be fixed. And I will run up out of a movie theater and walk out and call and say, the change is wrong. We need to go here, and whatever. Like, to me, that's what I love to do. That's what I love to be a part of. It's all those little things and moments that you work and tweak on this one record at a time, this one child at a time, to make it the best that you can make it before you're forced to have to deliver this baby, right?
So this is something I wanted to say. So one of my favorite moments every week, or every 2 weeks, isn't it, these days, we have the creative A&R meeting, right?
Right.
And one of my favorite things to do is when somebody's playing a record, whether it's Dre or whoever it is, and they sort of go, hey, so what do you guys think? And whenever you speak, you do that exactly what you just described there. You're able to kind of almost forensically break down the record and go, hey guys, you know what you need here? You need to like change that level, or bring this instrument in here, or you know what you need right there. And I sit there and I'm just like, this is the witchcraft bit for me. I'm just listening to you talk and I'm just like, how have you done that? Like, you've heard that record once. Like, how have you done that? It's incredible.
Right. Oh man, thank you. I think it's just a lover of music. I think that I'm gonna tell you another thing that really probably helped me in that. Outside of everything I shared, so K Michelle, I managed. We went on a tour with J. Cole, right? when we went on this tour, it was I think Job Records gave us $30,000 as tour support to travel the whole country, right? Which it sounds like a decent amount of money in U.S. Really, 30,000, you're barely gonna make it across. I'm talking about across the U.S. All these, I don't know, like 30 dates, right? In order to make this work, which was big for her career, there were some decisions that needed to be made. One, we can't afford a bus to take us or a driver. So me and my partner, Bobby Fisher, who, and Bobby, we co-managed K. Michelle together. Bobby used to be the road manager for Trey. That's how I met Bobby. So I met, I hired him as road manager. So we decided to do K. Michelle together, and I was like, all right, Bob, we got to drive. So we rent this Ford Flex vehicle, and we was going to drive around through the country. But K. Michelle was like, well, I could just go up there and they could just play the song and I'll perform. I was like, you can't do that. J. Cole was still new at the time, but I knew he was bringing it to, keyboards, drums, DJ and keyboards and a whole little show setup. I said, no, you need a DJ. She's like, well, who's going to be the DJ? We can't afford to pay nobody. I said, I'll do it. Right? So I literally learned how to DJ to some extent a week before the tour.
That's so funny.
So I literally, and I think I had like a DJAY had just came out. You can see that most of the Apple stores. There was a little setup, and imagine when I show up to the first date, J. Cole DJs have these like, Serato and 12s, and I got this little, little computer mixer this is before they were even popular. And I'm like, yeah, this is the new wave. Like, man, I'm cool. Like, I just plug by to my thing and I just go, and they was like, ha ha ha. And they saw it and they were like, wow, that actually worked, right? And I was like, cool. Yeah. But later on, I switched to Serato for the time because it was just easier because they had J. Cole had a system set up. So I found out that it was easier for me just to plug my laptop in versus putting up my little thing. But I would practice on it, in the hotels or whatever. So somewhere, I think we were in Colorado. We was in Boulder. So Boulder, Colorado is like Colorado State. It's like a college town, big weed smoking town or whatever. And I was like, I'm going for mine tonight, right? So before K. Michelle come out, because I've been practicing, I'm DJing all this music. Like, are you ready for K. Michelle? And I'm doing all this, DJ scratching and all this and all this. And K. Michelle comes out, and she goes, stop the music. And I was like, whoa, what's up? What's up, K? I'm like, now I'm in full Alex. I'm not a DJ at this point, but I am. So I've got the towel on my head. I'm like, can I get some water? Can you give me some water and towels to the back for the DJ? I'm like, woo! Like, I'm acting like as when I was a manager for Trade, I used to be like, look at that asshole DJ with the band. Like, we don't even need you here. Like, now I'm him. This is who I'm mimicking, right? So Bobby's laughing, and he's like, oh my God, right? K. Michelle's like, you're a real DJ. Like, I can't believe this. It's like, and she tells the story of how I ended up doing it. So going back to those records. So from DJing that, and then I started DJing in between K. Michelle set and J. Cole. J. Cole was like, no, DJ between every show. You know what I mean? You're great. So I started DJing between the show, which I thought his DJ was going to get jealous, but he didn't, I guess, because I didn't get paid for it, so I guess I let him do it. So What happened was I came back and started DJing in Atlanta at a lounge, like on a Sunday. There was nobody in there. So I would go in and it would only be like 10 people. I was like, man, I'll DJ for free. I just want to practice. So within 3 months, from 4 to 6 people being in a lounge, 3 o'clock, no American football on. So people, whatever. One day I looked up in the fall, I think right before football started, it was packed. And I literally just remember looking up. And I think then I had was DJing on an iPad. I didn't bring the little system. This is when you could DJ from the iPad. I would plug into this system. They couldn't tell. And I looked up and it was packed. And there was people waiting out line to get in. And I was just so focused on the music. So for me, I was just going through like a virtual vinyl collection in my mind. Because they had combined with I think at the time I used to do playlists, and then out of nowhere it was like, now you can use this new thing called Spotify. This before it was popular, and you can pull from Spotify. So now I'm literally in my mind sitting in this lounge, and I'm literally in my mind sitting, proverbially I'm sitting in my studio or my entertainment room with a whole bunch of vinyl and a turntable, and I'm just dropping the needle on certain records. So what makes it so significant is that, so I'm playing everything from, I don't know, this was back 2013. Let's say everything, I would play Frank Sinatra, New York, New York, going in, I would play the whole record, right? And then I would go in and mix it with New York, New York by Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. And then I would go from that and play Ray Charles and set it up for you to hear Gold Digger with Kanye and Jamie Foxx. And I would play Aretha Franklin, and I would play Queen, and they would just be like, what is this guy doing? But I was just literally just putting records on in my mind. They all was in tempo and beat and vibe. And what I thought was something I only wanted to hear, no, there were people 21, 20 years old, all the way to 60. They were all partying, and I looked up and I saw these 60-year-old people or 50-year-old people that's there drinking, sitting there just listening to music, explaining to the 20-year-old who might have not experienced soul music. It was like, yeah, back in my... So they're literally conversating and drinking and having a good time, and it became this super popular thing. So my theory is, because of the Alchemist story, right? You're going through, you're a manager, you get to this point, this is right before I became an A&R. Imagine that in my ear, in these headphones, I was DJing with these little headphones too, I'm hearing every aspect of music through every time period. To up-to-date hip-hop and pop, I'm playing all the way back to probably, I used to play some rap stuff back from the 40s and 50s and mix it in. So what happens is, somehow in your brain, after a million songs, you start to understand song arrangement on another level. You start to understand, oh, there's a lot of hit records in A minor. That's pretty cool. Right? Why? Oh, not 80%. No, excuse me, that's too high. I don't want to say this wrong. I forgot, but it is a high percentage. On Spotify, there's one key that I noticed kept coming up, because they developed where you can see the key that the record is in. G major is the most popular key on Spotify. Most of the hit records on Spotify is in the key of G major. Pretty interesting, right? You can probably look to the relative minor. So when you start to kind of hear this and hear how people mix records and arrangements and why did this do that and why did they put the kick drum with the hit, or I would just get lost. I was still able to DJ and have people dance and cry and get all this emotion and feel these different emotions. But at the same time, I'm sitting there and it's just like notes and arrangements floating in my head, like, oh, that's why. Oh, so, oh man, like, oh, I get why the Osley Brothers and that D 7th chord and that 7th chord, oh, it's the 7th chord, and I'm just playing. So now, when I hear people play music, it's like The Alchemist again. I've been DJing since, that was 2013. I've been DJing every Friday. At one time, I had 2 nights a week, Friday and Sunday. I've been DJing every week since 2013 for 5 hours a set. So just add up the hours of music and listening to so many genres and playing all these different styles of music. At some point, it just becomes like integrated in your DNA, where you can pick out where records are from. Like, oh, that's that progression, or that's that, and that's that, and that's that, or you need to change that. So that's really where I think it came from. I think my ear developed by DJing and understanding, and that simultaneously I started playing guitar. I knew how to play piano and drums and trumpet, but I started playing guitar, and it just became such a challenge for me to play this guitar, and that combined with DJing, because now you can hear chords and voices a lot better in your ear now from playing guitar, because just the nature of the instrument. All of that just combined, and now it's just like, okay, let's hurry up and do A, B, C, and D, and I think we'll be good. So that's where it came from. So that's the Alchemist story. I never planned on being a DJ. You know what I mean? And hey, I get paid to do it. So
and now you have a full-time DJ set up in your studio as well.
Yes,
whole area set for it. Very good.
Yeah, I think I'm a DJ today. I think I'm gonna go live. I did it a couple of times. I think going live DJing is way more nerve wracking than doing it in a club. Because in a club, when everybody's going online with the virus going on, and I think a lot of us DJs got on there thinking, "Oh, this is easy. There's no crowd. I'm gonna play what I wanted to." But here's the key: even when I was DJing these records and playing all these different mixture of records, it was kind of what I liked, but at the same time, in some third eye and some other dimension, you still have to be able to scan the room to figure out the emotions that's going on. So I could I could tell, depending on how big the room was, not saying stadiums, like we're talking maybe 200 or 300 people, the first people, I could scan and see that woman's out. This woman came out with her girlfriends because she's a little depressed or she's feeling a certain way. So I don't know what songs to play for her. I could tell the one guy who's just happy to be out the house, so that energy. So I try to almost become like an empath in those 300 rooms to figure out, okay, where's the energy, and let me give everybody where their energy is, versus it me making them think a little deeper about their situation or making them forget about it and party. I believe that both emotions are important. So like going through that, like I almost scared myself right there because I got a vision of one day making this lady cry. But just from the music, it wasn't that it was sad. It was just I knew where she was. But not to get off track, but yeah, that's what kind of brings it back to those records and being able to hear and knowing what to do and what it should sound like and what they're trying to feel. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I answer the question.
No, it does. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so in terms of sort of like how people feel, do you think, I mean, when I see you with other artists, I see them warm to you immediately. Like there seems to be a sort of a way that you can connect with them that a typical record executive can't really do. And I guess maybe it is because you're so attached to the music in the same way that they are. If they're a recording artist, it's all being inspired from something that they're probably listening to, right? That's typically how it works.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and how much do you rely on that to do your job? Like, how much are you quite conscious of that ability to do that?
You know what? I don't know. I almost feel like I'm an asshole. A cool asshole. I think that excuse the word. I think like Kanye West. It's like, think of it this way. Kanye West to me is a cool, likable asshole. What we do know is he's passionate about what he does, and he's good at what he do. Versus it be fashion or more importantly, the music that got him here. I think that one has to respect somebody's passion for something, right? I think when the passions mesh and it's like I'm just as excited to be here working with you as you working with me, and I'm never trying to. I think the key is that I'm not trying to turn them. My thing is let them talk and say who they are, and I'm basically sitting there mentally taking notes. Like, okay, this is who you say you are, but this is what you're showing me. So I always tell people when you're A&R, it's almost like I just try to be passionate about the music and go hard. I'm at that age where I'm going to tell you if I don't agree, and yeah, it's your career, you got the final say so, but my job is to give you every other example who made this decision before you and where it ended up. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? And I've been wrong a few times. Not many, but a few. I have, but most of the time I'm pretty much 85% in the right area. I just get excited about it. I don't mind fighting the artists as far as just having debates about why they should be doing this and doing that. And a lot of times these artists, when you get to know them and they open up to you, they have an image of themselves as not even who they are as a person. And it's sometimes part of A&R, some like psychology. You like, well, embrace who you are. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pretend. Or if you're going to pretend, it's fine if you want to make up a character. I know a few artists who are characters. You can't slip out of character. So once you start this character, you have to live it, love it, turn into it. That's it. It's no different than Batman. Bruce Wayne walking out as Batman. He don't even talk the same when he's Batman. You have to believe it. So just making them understand all those parameters, laughing with them, being human, eating. I'll cook for them, or we'll cook together. I invite them into my home a lot of times to just to whatever. And I think it's just so much tension built up between record label and artists. And now artists are programmed to be like, forget the rules. I'm independent. Fuck, you can't control me. I do what I want to do. And I think that's a sad part for us right now where we are in the industry, because there are really some music executives that really care about music, like yourself, and want to be kind and want an artist to not feel like we're pushing them to do something that they're not comfortable with. It's just that now it's been so many bad manipulative experiences that they don't trust us and we don't trust them. Mm-hmm. So when I'm with this artist, I say, listen, the first lesson I give them when we work together is I'll get to know them, we'll vibe. As they start to ask me questions, and I'll say, if you really want to know the truth, if you're in a position where you accepted money from a label, then essentially you're not. This isn't just your thing. We are partners. This is not just what you want to do, because if you want to do means you want to do money or resources in a team. You're affecting everybody's life that's the people that you don't even care about. So for instance, if I come here and deliver you a hit record, everybody who eats off of these decisions benefits that you don't see that's working on your behalf. That means that Alex over in London benefits because there's more capital to influx in that department. That means that, the person doing accounting gets to do more. That means the person doing graphics gets to do more. That means, no, we are partners. You know what I mean? So It's you, the brand, it's your thing, and we signed you because you're talent, but we have to have some type of discussion and knowing that you're actively listening on what we think the best decision is. And I think at Empire, I think that we're so artist leaning at times. I think there's a certain amount of things that we've done that we could have made better, but we didn't push the artists over the top to make the best record or the best decision. And it's kind of a catch-22 for us because we're like the artist-friendly label, but I think every independent label started out the artist-friendly label, and then it becomes this dragon. So, and I think you can't help but to turn into a dragon. You could be a good dragon, you could be a white dragon, or you could be the black dragon, burn it down, whatever you want to do. But you're going to become a dragon, which means that you're going to insert certain flames out your mouth. You're going to be able to wipe your tail and knock over a village if you choose to. And, just depends on how you use your powers for. So, yeah.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that second instalment of the interview. Tune in next week to hear a slightly unbelievable story about the formation of what has become one of Delante's most commercially successful records. And we also get to share our admiration of the Indonesian superstar, Afgan, who we are currently both working with. So, thank you for listening. As ever, I welcome all feedback, comments and suggestions for future shows. My Twitter handle is @AlexBranson, or head to the website, which is www.abcmusic.co, and you'll find a contacts page on there with my email address on. Catch you on the next one.